A closer look at some of the continent's best and brightest as a new group of Yali Fellows begin their journey. 50 years later, civil rights leaders remember the struggle to pass the Voting Rights Act. And 1,000 Italian Foo Fighters fans make the band an offer they couldn't refuse. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Lenore Moudou. This is Africa 54. Vincent Makori is off today. U.S. President Barack Obama has just finished addressing the second class of Mandela Washington Fellows Monday as part of the Presidential Summit of the Young African Leaders Initiative. YALI empowers 500 young people through academic coursework, leadership training, and networking. A short time ago in the nation's capital, Mr. Obama told the gathering of Africa's brightest minds that the continent is on the rise.
Even as Africa continues to confront many challenges, Africa is on the move. It's one of the fastest growing regions in the world. Africa's middle class is projected to grow to more than 1 billion consumers, with hundreds of millions of mobile phones and surging access to the internet. Africans are beginning to leapfrog old technologies into new prosperity. The continent has achieved historic gains in health, from fighting HIV/AIDS to making childbirth safer for women and babies. Millions have been lifted from extreme poverty. So this is extraordinary progress.
Each Mandela Washington Fellow participated in a 6-week academic and leadership program at a U.S. college and university in one of 3 tracks: business and entrepreneurship, civic leadership, or public management. Now, all this week on Africa 54, as part of our special YALI coverage, we are airing profiles of some of the Mandela Fellows. First up is Aysha Yellow. She is a sponsorship manager for the French NGO Aide et Action. We take you to Staten Island, New York, to get a taste of Aysha's experience that she says will make a difference when she heads back home to Guinea to continue her work against women and young girls' mutilation.
How about these tall ones? See, this will pitch it quite high.
Another one like this.
So it's not easy to achieve your goal, so you have to work. Oh, look at that.
Build some more.
My name is Aysha Yellow. I'm from Guinea-Conakry.
Yeah, I would say those.
For example, in my country, most of the disabled persons are not educated. You can find most on the streets begging, so they are neglected.
I work for Aide et Action. It's a French NGO which promotes education for vulnerable children in my communities.
Aysha too is working with some of the most marginalized people within her country, especially young women. And her experience building from literally nothing an infrastructure by which to sustain the education of women in particular has been a really great eye-opening experience for us in the U.S. and here at Wagner.
What I really like today was when we went to the lifestyle.
Organization that works with individuals with intellectual disabilities, so people that we would typically in the past call people with mental retardation, and trying to take a look at some of the ways they've set up micro businesses and also continue to do education.
I was shy, I was not really talkful, I was a little like, I didn't want to trust nobody. I was just like shut for myself. Now I changed my whole life.
When I saw those people who were very committed despite their disabilities, I saw hope on them. And for me, they are not disabled person, they are able person because they can do something. I saw what they manufacture, what they did. It was so emotional.
What kind of animal is this one?
Hippopotamus. Hippo, open the mouth.
I think Americans do not neglect people because everybody can do something in this life to show how to demonstrate their skills, their potential.
I think Aysha too has been able to gain some new skills to expand her organization from here on out.
My main goal is that I want to see all little girls educated. I want to empower women through education.
I know we all are doing great things and I admire everyone, but Aysha is so unique. You know, meeting Aysha, you know, inspired me to do more for disabled pregnant mothers. And Aysha is a very wonderful person.
I want to be a great leader. I want to be someone who can fight for women's rights. And I want to be among those networking women who are very powerful, who are always dealing with women issues. I want to be among them and be a leader, not only for my country, for all Africa. I want to be a Nelson Mandela.
Today's second yearly profile is on Felix Klutse, an entrepreneur and award-winning journalist who has big plans for putting what he's learned as a Yali Fellow to work not just for himself, but for his country of Ghana and Africa as a whole.
Every day I get fresh ideas. Those times I thought entrepreneurship is where we have arrived, but I realized that there are more things that I can do than what I'm doing.
If they were able to try so hard.
General Mosquito Bosco.
Written by great men like Dr. Kofi Annan.
My name is Felix Klutse from Ghana. I'm the publisher of a business newspaper called Business Day. And what we do is to provide in-depth reports, business report on Ghana's economy and finance. Not only Ghana, but we cover West Africa and then also international trade. About 30 employees that have direct employment, and then we provide 200 indirect employment for news vendors.
So great to have you guys back again this year. I know it's a different group, but
I have gone through a number of companies, and I have seen some best practices there, which if I get back to Ghana, I could be able to apply the same thing and still continue to be in business.
My name is Felix from Ghana. Let me commend you. You guys are doing a great job in my country. And my question on a more serious note, you guys are making money. What has been your contribution to society? What is your area of corporate social responsibility?
I'm also a leader of an association in Accra. That's over 400 people where I mentor and then give them training for positive direction. And what we also do as a publisher of Business Day, I've set aside 3% of our income, which is directed to support this organization and also charity, where we take out street children and make sure that they get back to school. I became an orphan at the age of 7, and that moved me out to be able to do so many things in life, because I believe strong. My passion is to provide jobs for the youth, because I believe that as a country, the rate at which unemployment is going on is a threat to national security. And if something concrete is not done about it, we'll be at risk, because we have a lot of frustrated graduates in the system who finish universities, and these are good, graduates, but are not getting a job.
And one thing I've learned in US here is if there's trouble or there's a problem, they don't complain, but they solve it, they provide solutions.
Even here, I've decided to come out with a group of fellows, and we are meeting every evening to try as much as possible. We have a list of ideas. We keep on dropping. They want to focus on one single thing that could transform our various countries and Africa as a whole.
And we'll have more of the fellows this week. Now, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is condemning the killing of a UN peacekeeper in the Central African Republic. The peacekeeper died Sunday after being attacked by gunmen in the country's capital, Bangui. The UN says troops from its mission in the CAR were conducting a search to arrest a suspected criminal when the armed group attacked. 8 others were injured. Through a spokesman, Mr. Ban called for, quote, swift action to bring the perpetrators of this crime to justice. Now to Nigeria, where the military says it has rescued 178 people being held by the Islamist militant group Boko Haram in the northeast of the country. Of those freed, 101 were children, 67 were women, and the rest were men, according to a military spokesman. The Nigerian Air Force reported killing a large number of militants while helping ground troops repel an attack on Beta village, 50 kilometers southwest of the army operation that took place around Bama in northeastern Borno State. Now, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Qatar on Monday after spending Sunday in North Africa in a strategic dialogue session with the Egyptian foreign minister that focused on security and other issues. Concerns about the Iran nuclear deal is being raised by Gulf Cooperation Council foreign ministers in meetings with Secretary Kerry in Doha. Some GCC members have questioned if the deal, which could result in an empowered Iran, would be destabilizing the region. They also question if Iran will use the additional revenue that will result from lifting of international sanctions to provide more funding to militant groups such as Hezbollah. Now, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, Black civil rights leaders recall struggle for voting rights. Stay with us.
This is BizBeat.
For years, the Dominican Republic has been a top tourist destination in the Caribbean. Last year, some 5 million tourists traveled to the Dominican Republic, and Americans were the largest group of visitors. But improved U.S.-Cuba relations could soon send tourists wading into the waters off Havana. Randall Simmons is excited by the chance to visit Cuba for the first time in 60 years.
We would definitely be interested in checking it out and seeing what's available in Cuba for vacationing spots.
The CEO of Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, Frank Camito, says every Caribbean country should be watching Cuba now.
It's a wake-up call. It has to be a wake-up call. All you have to do is look at the numbers.
For Caribbean countries, the challenge will be to keep visitors interested in their attractions as Cuba's tourist sector benefits from the diplomatic thaw with the U.S. For VOA's BizBeat, I'm Philip Alexio.
The quest for the freedom to vote saw many struggles.
We were murdered for the right to vote.
Many triumphs.
It's unleashed the talent, the dreams, and the inspiration of millions of Americans.
Yet the fight continues.
I'm very disappointed because, you know, we worked so hard in so many years and we've seen the injustice.
A 4-part special report, The Freedom to Vote, The Last 50 Years, only on VOA.
50 years ago, U.S. lawmakers approved and President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The law banned racial discrimination in voting, and it is considered the most effective piece of civil rights legislation ever enacted in America. This week, in the first installment of a VOA special series called The Voting Rights Act at 50, Chris Simpkins introduces us to some civil rights leaders who were on the front lines in the struggle for voting rights.
Memories of demanding voting rights are still vivid for civil rights pioneer C.T. Vivian.
We were murdered for the right to vote because they wanted to keep us under constraint.
Despite the dangers, Vivian and others were on a mission to get blacks registered and voting in Selma, Alabama.
You can't keep anyone in the United States from voting.
For weeks, Vivian led dozens of blacks to the courthouse in Selma in a campaign known as Nonviolent Direct Action.
Until you had the vote and showed that you desired it, that was what was most meaningful.
This courthouse does not belong to Sheriff Clark. This courthouse belongs to the people of Dallas County.
Vivian took on Sheriff Jim Clark and admitted racists who enforced local laws that denied blacks voting rights.
So he turned his back on me and started to walk away. And I told him, I said, you can turn your back on
me, but you cannot turn your back upon the idea of justice.
So he decided to do what he always does, is beat people. He really, really hit me right across the face.
We're willing to be beaten for democracy, and you misuse democracy in the street.
A turning point came in March 1965. A peaceful voting rights protest in Selma turned violent when Alabama State Police attacked unarmed demonstrators on a day known as Bloody Sunday.
Your order to disperse. This march will not continue.
John Lewis, now a U.S. congressman, led the march.
They came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, trampling us with horses, releasing the tear gas. I was hit in the head by a state trooper with a nightstick. I had a concussion at the bridge.
Can we have somebody take somebody to a doctor?
I thought I was going to die. I thought I saw death.
Images of the attack caused a national outcry. A few days after the violent confrontation, civil rights demonstrators got court approval to march again from Selma to Montgomery.
Martin Luther King Jr. came by to visit me in my hospital room and said, John, don't worry, we will make it from Selma to Montgomery, and the Voting Rights Act will be passed.
All the way from Selma town.
King led tens of thousands of marchers to Alabama's capital in support of voting rights.
I know you're asking today, how long will it take? How long? Not long. Not long.
In just a few months, Congress passed and President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act into law on August 6, 1965, giving federal enforcement to the 15th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. By the end of 1965, there were 250,000 new black registered voters. These civil rights pioneers say they're satisfied the sacrifices made by so many 5 decades ago paid off, making the nation better. Chris Simpkins, VOA News, Selma, Alabama.
President Barack Obama is set to formally unveil an ambitious plan to combat climate change by reducing carbon emissions from U.S. power plants. VOA's Michael Bowman reports the initiative faces a stiff opposition from coal-producing states and their representatives in Congress.
Change is not a problem for another generation, not anymore.
President Obama issued a call to action with a video posted on Facebook before an announcement that could define his legacy on the environment.
Power plants are the single biggest source of the harmful carbon pollution that contributes to climate change. But until now, there have been no federal limits to the amount of that pollution those plants can dump into the air. Think about that.
The goal, reduce emissions by more than 30% from 2005 levels by 2030. The plan sets a target, but allows individual states to decide how to comply.
Well, I think jobs in the economy are clearly what the voters are concerned about.
The Senate's Republican leader represents coal-rich Kentucky and sees the plan as a job killer.
We need to do everything we can to try to rein in the regulatory onslaught, which is the principal reason that we haven't had the kind of bounce back after the 2008 recession that you would expect.
In an accord last year, the United States committed to reducing carbon emissions, while China pledged to halt the growth of greenhouse gas output in the future.
I was particularly distressed by the deal, which, as I read the agreement, requires the Chinese to do nothing at all for 16 years. While these carbon emission regulations are creating havoc in my state and other states around the country.
But other countries like Mexico are also working to reduce emissions.
The country must move forward to comply with its international commitments, but also to create jobs, embrace energy reform, and ensure cleaner and more sustainable life conditions.
UN officials are applauding the moves.
Over time, what we should be seeing is a very, very clear trend of investment into clean, renewable energies.
Earlier this year, President Obama vetoed construction of an oil pipeline from Canada, prompting cheers from environmentalists and denunciations from many lawmakers. His clean power plan promises to be more consequential, and the political storm it will likely provoke all the more fierce. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. The Rockin' 1000 learn to fly and get the seal of approval from one very special fan. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Aysha Yellow, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Nigeria, a female suicide bomber kills 6 people in a new attack on a market in Maiduguri. In Zimbabwe, the country accuses another American, this time a Pennsylvania doctor, of illegally killing a lion near the Hwange National Park.
But as of now we are going
in South Sudan, the IOC gives the young country Olympic status and the ability to send athletes to the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro. Finally, in Kenya, whistleblower John Kitonga warns that corruption is worse than ever following an audit of government finances. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here is what's trending. Lupita Nyong'o is heading for the stage. The Oscar winner, fashion icon, and trendsetter will make her New York stage debut in September. Lupita will star in Eclipsed, a story of survival and resilience set in post-colonial Africa. The Mexican-born Kenyan will next appear in the anticipated Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and will voice a character in Jon Favreau's take on Disney's The Jungle Book. Next up, not even a rock star can turn down such a heartfelt appeal. "1,000 die-hard Foo Fighters fans united in Cesena, Italy last month to cover Learn to Fly in the hope that the band will come play a show there. The video went widely viral, over 16 million views so far, and Foo Fighters lead singer Dave Grohl responded in Italian. "This video was good, super nice, thank you so much. We're coming, I swear, we'll see each other soon. Thank you so much, I love you," the rock legend said. Mission accomplished. And finally, a warm, sunny climate means Los Angeles has always been a big ice cream city. Now in Hollywood, there is a new trend among some ice cream parlors. They're going kosher. Ice cream made in certified kosher kitchens, presided over by a rabbi, is becoming big business in LA, contrary to popular belief. Kosher does not involve a blessing or a chanting ceremony, but rather a full cleansing of utensils by a rabbi. And that's what's trending. A Team NBA stars played in Africa for the first time on Saturday with a stirring final quarter comeback, giving Team World a 101-97 victory over Team Africa in Johannesburg. Team Africa included NBA players from Cameroon, Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria, Senegal, and South Sudan. The African stars led 77-62 after 3 quarters of the 40-minute exhibition match. But a string of 3-point field goals early in the final quarter by Team World changed the game. There were surprise appearances for Team Africa by retired NBA stars Hakeem Olajuwon of Nigeria and Dikembe Mutombo from the DRC. Olajuwon, who in 1984 became the first African drafted into the NBA when he joined the Houston Rockets, drew one of the loudest roars with a two-pointer before coming out of the game breathless. Chris Paul, Team World Captain, and Nurul Deng, Team Africa Captain, shared their thoughts.
Basketball has actually been secondary on this trip. It's been more so about getting out and seeing the people. And me and Lual had an opportunity yesterday to go over to Soweto and see some of the kids and talk to them. And it really shows you that this game of basketball is global, and it's the thing that's, you know, sports has no race, has no language. It's just one of those things that brings everyone together.
The goal is really growing the game. I think we really want to encourage the young kids and believe in themselves. It's just it's what we all want. And the fact that the game is here, I think in the future there will be more games. So it's really a huge step for the game.
Now, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach has responded to allegations that hundreds of athletes have been involved in doping. Reports surfaced Sunday that 146 medals, including 55 golds at the Olympics and at World Championships between 2001 and 2012, were won by athletes with suspicious blood test results. German broadcaster ARD and the Sunday Times newspaper in Britain say they obtained access from a whistleblower to the results of 12,000 blood tests from 5,000 athletes in the database of the International Association of Athletics Federations. The outlets say more than 800 of the athletes recorded one or more abnormal test results. The Special Olympics wrapped up in Los Angeles over the weekend for athletes with intellectual disabilities.
From table tennis to handball, Special Olympics athletes have given it their best, and some will take home medals. Irish athlete Carol Catling earned a gold for table tennis, and Oloyuni Sunday won a gold in another division of the same sport. His coach says it took practice.
Yeah, we come from Nigeria, and you know, before we come for this program, we have made a provision with these athletes to camp them for like 5 weeks to train them towards these World Games. And I think this is the dividend of the training.
This Panamanian athlete, a bowler, is here with her family. Her brother says she has the skill and focus to excel in her sport.
Thankfully, she's very good at it. And, well, she has competed in a lot of competitions around the world and also in Panama, national and globally, and she has done very well.
But it's not all about winning. It's the thrill of competition and sense of pride.
They've worked hard the whole year to get here, getting themselves as fit as they can, and it just means everything to be representing their country.
More than 6,000 athletes from 165 countries have participated in sports from aquatics to powerlifting.
The quest for the freedom to vote saw many struggles.
We were murdered for the right to vote.
Many triumphs.
It's unleashed the talent, the dreams, and the inspiration of millions of Americans.
Yet the fight continues.
I'm very disappointed because, you know, we worked so hard in so many years and we've seen the injustice.
A 4-part special report, The Freedom to Vote, The Last 50 Years, only on VOA.
Real talk, real issues, the real Africa. It's time to get the scoop, Monday through Friday on VOA. Find your time zone and get the scoop.